Hi everybody. It is so nice to be back on the stage again. I have actually desperately missed this over the past 3 years. So I'm really glad to be here. So again, it's been 3 years since I last spoke on stage at Altitude. And when I was last here, we were just announcing Compute@Edge. We were just saying hey, we are about to put this out. Here's the vision for where it's going to go. I think it's going to be great. I told you about how we were building a global, language agnostic, incredibly secure computing platform. And today, I'm here to tell you that that is exactly what we did. I'm also here to tell you about how the creativity of our customers and the community around us continues to amaze us, and how the platform has adapted and is dealing with all of those interesting and creative deployments that have been going on. There are companies that are today pushing hundreds of thousands of RPS through our compute platform, which is fantastic, right? Last time I was here, I talked about how we were making a system that was fundamentally language agnostic, which is somewhat different than the way other people have approached this sort of problem in the past. I told you that we were very close to having Rust support. Go was probably the next target. We also built JavaScript support. However, I think a more interesting thing is actually something that happened at the Ruby Kaigi conference just last month in Tokyo. And that is essentially that a student got on stage at Ruby Kaigi and proceeded to show how he had gotten Ruby running essentially natively on Compute@Edge. He did this without talking to us, without any help from us whatsoever. And we were just as surprised as everybody else, surprised and delighted as everybody else in attendance to learn that we now had Ruby support for our platform, right? And so that's what I mean when I say that it was fundamentally language agnostic. It's not about what languages run there now. It's about the fact that you can make any language run there, which is really cool. So another example of this is actually the Swift language, right? Simultaneously, when the Swift language, as this was happening with the Ruby language, someone had realized that they might be able to do the same thing with Swift, and they did. In fact, that person is in attendance here today. So as part of the Swift thing, one of the things that stands out to me about this was that it's really mind-blowing, the fact that you can use the same platform to deploy a tiny serverless function and also deploy your entire platform, an entire new business on top of it, right? That shows to me the power of the platform. So one of the things that we have put a lot of effort into with the compute platform is the open source side of it, right? And one of the reasons that we have put so much effort into the open source side of our Compute@Edge platform is because we believe that this way of building a compute platform is actually kind of the way that they're going to be built in the future, and that ours is not the last one of these. And so it's for that reason that we've actually open sourced the vast majority of the technology behind Compute@Edge. And as part of that, we founded the Bytecode Alliance along with Intel, Mozilla, and others. In fact, there are now 33 companies that are part of the Bytecode Alliance. Intel, ARM, Docker is, I think, the most recent one to join. And part of the goal of this is that we work together to build the compilers, the libraries, and all the tooling around this, because we truly believe that this is what is needed to make this model ubiquitous. But just because the technology itself is cutting edge does not mean that it has to be difficult to use. First of all, we tried to make the process of getting started as easy as it could possibly be. Init, build, and deploy. Within a few seconds, and this is the part that's actually mind-blowing to me. Within a few seconds, you do these three things, and you have an application running that is capable of, again, hundreds of thousands of requests around the world. To me, this is the first time that has actually been possible, which is very exciting every time it happens. However, of course, most of us automate our deployments, right? An increasingly large set of developers are using GitHub to do this. They're using GitHub Actions. Obviously, we are also big GitHub users, right? So one of the first things we did was add support for GitHub Actions. And it's actually very easy to get running. You just need a little bit of boilerplate and off you go. However, of course, as your infrastructure and deployment needs grow, a lot of people tend to look toward Terraform. So again, one of the next things that we did as soon as we had GitHub Actions was we tried to get Terraform working, and it does. Again, it should be absolutely trivial to use Terraform with Compute@Edge, and that's how we've tried to make that work. Finally, you may have heard about our acquisition of Glitch, right? We're extremely excited that the Glitch team chose to join us, and we can see some really exciting synergies between the Fastly compute platform and what Glitch has always been trying to do with their community. Anil will be up here with us later today, and you'll see how that vision will align. So, if you've been watching from a distance, thinking to yourself that the edge computing looks cool, it looks interesting, it looks like it could be useful to you, but it's also young and kind of immature, and you're going to wait for it to grow up. Let me tell you, the time has come. It is now. It is ready for you. Trillions upon trillions of requests go through our compute platform today. So I'm very happy to welcome you if you choose to use it. So that said, I am very happy also to be able to introduce a few upcoming speakers who have found creative use cases for Compute@Edge. So to start with, I would like to introduce to the stage, well, he's not actually here. He's actually remote. Sadly, he couldn't be here today. But Gustaf Nilsson Kotte from IKEA.